Wow, I already drank that whole shake? This is a large piece of AAA quality Ametrine from Bolivia. The design I am going to cut this gemstone into calls for a length to width ratio of 1.743 to 1, which is a longer, narrower rectangle than most rectangular or emerald shaped designs. So I already know I will lose a lot of rough from this piece of rough as I preform it into this particular design. I can see two fractures near the surface, which will only present minor problems because they are just near the surface. But I also see the dividing line between the amethyst, the purple, and the citrine, the yellow-orange, is not exactly in the middle of the stone. So I'm also going to lose some more rough trying to get that dividing line between the two colors near mid-gemstone. A couple of weeks ago, I cut two smaller pieces of ametrine into different rectangular or emerald-shaped designs, and Bopi, my wife, liked the gemstone cut into the design called Fruity Candy the best, and so did most of you from the comments we received. We decided to cut this large piece of ametrine into that winning design, and Fruity Candy won. Here is the design. It's another design by Arya Akavan, and I have cut several of Arya's designs, and he really understands what it takes to make a gemstone pop with brilliance. All of Arya's designs that I have cut so far have been awesome. This design can be downloaded from the faceting diagrams page of the Gemology Project website, and here is where you can find that website. Because I recently cut this design in a smaller piece of ametrine, I already know the key to successfully cutting this particular design. For this design, you have to get the length and width set correctly, and you have to focus on getting the meet points of your facets to meet as closely as you can. If your length to width is wrong, you won't be able to line up your facets. Conversely, if you do get your facets to meet just right, it will force your length and width to hit the length to width ratios and be spot on. Okay, to set our large ametrine in our spindle from our machine, we set the index gear at 96, so that we'll be cutting the 96 index, and then set it horizontally in the spindle and set our set screw, and we're ready to start cutting. Now, because it's ametrine, what I try to do when I'm cutting an emerald cut or a rectangular cut of any type is I try to put the dividing line between the citrine and the amethyst right in the center of my dot. So there may be more amethyst than citrine, but if I was just to center the stone, it would look kind of, well, it wouldn't be centered, it wouldn't be even. So that's the way I do it, is I put the dividing line between the purple and the yellow right in the center of my dot when I mount the stone to the dot. I finished going over the ametrine with my 150 grit diamond topper just to preform it. So what I was focused on when I'm preforming with this design is getting the length to width correct, because this isn't a step cut. This design has meet points, so you've got to get the length and width correct. So in this case, the instructions give you a length to width ratio of 1.743. So you can either take your width and multiply it by 1.743 and make sure you have enough length to do that, or take your length and divide by 1.743, and that tells you what your width should be. So you just want to get it pretty close, length to width, and then I'll continue to preform. So I'll go into the 200 grit range. I think I've got a 200, and I think it's a 240 grit, but it doesn't matter. Any topper in the 200 range is what I'll use next, and continue to preform this stone. Okay, let me show you instances where I find that using a permanent marker or a Sharpie is particularly useful. So I'm working on my P3 facet, which is a facet that just walks in and is going to meet right here. So it's going to walk over and touch there. But it's not much of a difference in the angle between the P3 and the P2. So the P2 was cut at 41.87 and the P3 is cut at an angle of 41.2, which is not even a 1 degree difference. So it's hard sometimes to see your line moving. So what I do is I take my Sharpie and mark my stone up. It doesn't hurt it at all. It comes off with alcohol. You don't want the non-permanent markers that come off with water or it'll erase as you're fastening. So from there, let me take a cut and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, now it's easy to see where your facet is, right? It's right there. You can see because of your Sharpie. So that's how I use my Sharpie. Don't be afraid to mark your stones up. It won't hurt anything, and it's helpful in instances like this. So I know how much further I have to go to hit the meet point right there. All right, I finished going over the pavilion of our fruity candy with my 12M lap, a 1500 grit lap, and I believe I can go to polish. So I'm going to try to go to polish with our creamway lap with cerium oxide and see how that works out. Okay, I've got the pavilion of our fruity candy polished up with the creamway lap with cerium oxide spray. So now I will transfer the stone and cut the upper half. I've gone over our Ametrine with my 12M lap and it's done a very, very good pre-polish. I don't see any major scratching or anything else. It looks like it's ready to go to polish. So I think I'm going to try the creamway lap with cerium oxide, and if that doesn't work and I need to go to another pre-polish, I'll use my 13,000 grit diamond on the bat lap. Got the upper half of our fruity candy all polished, and so now I'll set the stone up to cut the table and then we'll be done. Okay, I finished polishing the table of our Ametrine for our fruity candy design. It polished right up with cerium oxide and creamway. So now I'll soak our stone in our acetone to remove it from the dop, and we'll weigh it and measure it and send it off to BOPIE. In this video, I used Arya's fruity candy design and cut a large piece of AAA quality Ametrine, which I imported from Bolivia. The gemstone really sparkles. Great design, Arya. This design is not difficult to cut, and I would recommend all cutters give this design a try. The final gemstone from this design really looks stunning. This design is, however, for longer, narrower pieces of rough. So if you have a standard mounting already in mind for a pendant, a ring, or whatever, you will need to verify the length to width requirements of your mounting, as this design may not work without tweaking the length to width, and tweaking the length to width of this design is problematic. So please let me know in the comments what you think of this design and our gemstone, and if you have cut fruity candy before, let us all know what gem material you cut the design in, and especially let us know how that final gemstone turned out. And as always, happy fasting, everyone.